Hello friends, welcome to my channel Creating Essence. I am Megan and I'm really glad you're here today. Today I'm going to be talking about something that's a little bit difficult. Just a disclaimer, this is in no way a political statement. Not one bit. It is, however, something that has been in the media and in the political scene, so it's very relevant. But it's something we all need to pay attention to and be aware of regardless of our political affiliations or views. If you've been around here long, you know I really deeply advocate for the wholeness and health of children, families, mothers, and this is something that impacts us all, but especially those groups. This is not my story. This is a story of a personal friend that I have known for about a decade. She can't share her story for the protection of her children. So she asked me, given what she knows about my heart for families and children, and this platform that I'm blessed to have here on YouTube and how I share things throughout Instagram and Facebook, she asked if I would share her children's story in hopes that it might help and protect other families and children out there. So I'm going to be reading directly from these papers. So these aren't my words, these are her words and her children's story, and I hope you will just take a minute to listen and take this to heart and apply it in your own lives in whatever way it is most useful. I want to start this letter with a thank you to Megan for being willing to share this with you. It's obviously very important to me, but my need to remain anonymous to protect my children from further scrutiny keeps me from blasting it from the rooftops. Megan didn't even hesitate when I asked her to read this letter to you, and for that, I am grateful. Childhood sexual abuse. Why aren't we talking about it? I knew that the statistics were 1 in 5. I've seen posts on Facebook, billboards, etc. I knew that with 4 children, one of mine could become that statistic. But my children are rarely apart from me, and I honestly believed, not my kids. I went with them to public restrooms. Even my son at 12, I would stand outside of men's room waiting. We didn't do sleepovers really. We homeschool and have a very tight-knit circle of friends. I did not know the warning signs of childhood sexual abuse until it happened in my own family. I can answer my own question. We aren't talking about it because it's the unimaginable, the unthinkable. As a parent, your brain doesn't go there unless forced to do so, much like the abuse itself. So for years, yes, years, I missed the warning signs of childhood sexual abuse in my son. The truth is, we don't know for sure if or when someone touched him. We were awakened to the many warning signs he presented when our daughter told us that he had touched her. The devastating realization that this was not innocent exploration caused me not to be able to eat for almost a week. My family has been ripped apart. My son, a new teenager, is no longer under my motherly wing, and my heart is shattered. Even as I write this letter to you, I write it anonymously. My need to protect the identity of my children is strong. Another reason why we aren't talking about it, but it's a conversation that needs to happen. I missed the warning signs in my daughter for months before she told us. I'm so grateful that she told us. She's getting the professional help that she needs, as am I. As the dust settles and we dig into more research, I'm sickened to learn that the likelihood of my son just randomly doing this is incredibly slim. It is assumed that someone molested him at some point. Looking back, I see the warning signs in him. Nightmares, always being chased and caught in his dreams. Feeling powerless. Making himself a victim in everything. Anxiety, depression, fits of rage and psychosis in a very young child. I related these to birth trauma. On the more subtle side, he is a boy who is not comfortable without a shirt on, an oddity. His poor self-esteem that I related to learning disabilities. His heightened fight or flight reflex, always ready to throw down or to bolt. Being intensely fearful and grasping for control of his whole environment. He just wanted to be left alone. Normal for a boy his age. Never being able to sleep. He's been on melatonin since he was 8. There are more, many more warning signs that I missed. I missed them because each and every one of them were easily explainable by something else. But when you look at them as a whole, I am left devastated and wondering who hurt my baby. For his part, he has repressed it all. He remembers nothing. He sits 100% separated from his siblings, wondering why he has been arrested, wondering why he spent a night in the youth detention center, wondering if there is something wrong with his head. Do I have short-term memory loss? In my daughter, there was a different set of signs. She nearly refused to eat. I actually wondered if she had grown so picky she'd become anorexic. She has always been slender, but this was different. We were forcing her to eat. She got sick. A simple stomach bug that hit her lymphatic system so hard we took her to the ER twice for the pain. This is a girl who had never had a sick visit for anything her whole life. She quite suddenly was unable to sleep. She always looked afraid, but she wouldn't tell us what was bothering her. We had just moved long distance and I thought it was grief. She became mother to my 4-year-old daughter, looking after her and playing with her constantly, even when asked to do something else, and even at the risk of consequences for disobeying. I believed I was asking too much of her. I believed this was because I was tired and overwhelmed. No, she was actually protecting her sister with a fierce love that is far beyond her tender years. She became excessively modest, suddenly stopped wanting to take a bath with her baby sister. She began changing clothes and even sleeping in her closet, wearing pants or shorts to gymnastics and swimming. She begged for her own room, for privacy, and for a door with a lock on it. She was sad and lonely. When we would ask her what was going on, she would say it was because she had to share a room with the little kids, or that she missed her friend we had to move away from. I took note of every detail, but I had no idea that together all of these things were massive red flags for sexual abuse. What gets me even more is that I remember the 2 times it happened. She told me, but she did not actually tell me. She told enough that we had serious conversations, but it was months later when she told the rest of the story. She had no idea it was such a big deal, and yet she didn't tell. At the time, both times, I chalked it up to normal curiosity and exploration, but it crossed a line and escalated. My kids are getting help. As a family, we are getting help. But because it's a criminal offense, our son remains separated and waiting to go to court before his treatment really begins. My mind wonders often what it's going to be like for him when his memory surfaces. My mommy heart aches at knowing I won't be able to be there for him as fully as I want to be because I can't bring the baby with me to see him. 1 in 5? In my house, it's 2 in 4. Where does the cycle end? Who did this to my son? Who did this to them? How do we break the cycle? I don't have all the answers, but I do know the warning signs should be in all of the books. The baby books, how to have conversations with friends and family about boundaries, should be in the books. It's not always avoidable, but even recognizing the red flags and getting the child help as soon as possible is a massive step forward. The majority of victims never tell. Let that sink in. They don't tell. 80% of perpetrators are family or very close friend. Kids know, love, and trust them. Learn the warning signs. Talk to your kids about boundaries. Say it often. They need to hear it as often as they hear the ABC song. I encourage all of you to visit the site defendinnocence.org. The resources there are easy to follow and very important. I didn't know the warning signs until forced to open my eyes. I really, really appreciate my friend entrusting me with sharing this with all of you. I know none of us wants to think our child is somehow a perpetrator, and I know none of us would ever expect it, even more than we wouldn't expect our child to be abused by someone else. But she's absolutely right here. It almost never happens that a child preys on another child without first being a victim themselves. And most kids repress it. Many victims of all kinds of assault repress those memories because they don't know how to process them, children especially. I would beg you all to start this conversation. Start the conversation in the comments below. Start the conversation in your families. They make a lot of books about how to discuss these things. And it just starts as easily as talking to your kids in everyday conversation while you're getting toddlers dressed about what are private parts and why they stay covered, and they're just for them, not for anyone else ever. Like my friend said, there's no 100% sure way to prevent abuse, but we can go a long way in being aware so we can get people help as soon as possible. Thank you so much for watching today. Please share this video far and wide. Share it with anyone who you think might find it useful. Share it with your parents, grandparents, your mom friends, your dad friends, your teachers, your child care providers. They all need to be aware that these things aren't exactly screaming, "I've been hurt." They can be really subtle. The ways that kids report these things is not how an adult brain might expect. So be aware. And once again, I'll put on the screen here, website that she mentioned, defendinnocence.org. Check that out. I'll have a link to it in the info box below. Thank you so much, friends.